how do you find the balance between the paywall and just putting content out there? Because that's a big debate for me. It's like I could essentially say all the behind the scenes that I put out, is on Patreon, but it's like this where do you draw the line of making the money? It's like, do I want the exposure or do I want the money? And there's no right or wrong answer. I'm curious on how you personally decide that.
I have found with that, the best balance of that is to release that stuff later. So I release video A, and video A has it behind the scenes, and the behind the scenes people get it right away. Great. And then a month or two later, I'll release it publicly.
That's interesting. Because
then I still get the value.
Worlds.
Getting
that's interesting.
And then I also, when I release that behind the scenes video, then I say, hey, this is a Patreon perk that I'm making public as a bonus. So people really do like it. They say, I'd like to watch more of these. I'm going to sign up for that Patreon to make sure I get them all and to get them right away.
That is really interesting.
And then also then, if you release that behind the scenes video a month or two later, it kind of
revamps the interest in the first.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, man. That's very interesting.
Yeah. I know my sister 5-6 years ago, again, she wanted to do a Patreon, and she was creating a dance fitness channel with a friend of hers.
Okay.
And they had a debate amongst themselves, and I finally stepped in and settled it for them about the paywall thing. And the friend had said, no, we can't give away our stuff for free. This is valuable. And I said, no one is going to find you or care about you if they don't get most of it for free.
Yeah.
And so then the debate's to release the video itself for free, and there's just add-ons that were behind the paywall.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the modified versions, or here's it slowed down, or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had to release the base content for free, otherwise it never would have worked.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an interesting debate, though. I just had a really a guitar player that's doing really, really well on YouTube, and it's just an interesting debate in the sense of he sells his tabs, his charts essentially after. I'm like, it's like and he's making money from it, but I'm like, I wonder if he'd be doing even that much better. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's completely right. It's right for you in the moment, and you can always change later. You adjust, because sometimes you need that money to fund this, an album, or sometimes you don't need the money, and you can always adjust. But it's just interesting, like something I debate in my head all the time for myself is like, put it all out for free, everything, or do you, where? So it's just interesting. I have no idea, but if you had one piece of advice that you could give yourself now that you wish you knew when you first started, I'd be curious if it's the same thing you said, I would tell my 16-year-old self this, or if it's something completely different.
I think it is. It's the kind of like the "you are good enough" statement. And along with that, I would tell my 16-year-old self that success in this industry, and to an extent anything in life, but certainly in this industry, is not necessarily based on raw talent. It is based on how much you put into it. So I went to college at two different schools. I went to a fancy private arts college for my first 3 years. And then I went away to do another project, which was a whole other story. When I came back, I went to the state schools to finish. And it was so much cheaper. And I got way more out of that last year at the state school than I did, than I would have if I'd stayed at the private school. Mm-hmm. And the reason being, because I put a lot into it myself. I was involved in everything. I had some leadership roles as a result, and I did a lot more stuff, and it was way more valuable because that's what I put into it. With this stuff, reason Home For You is successful is because we worked our butts off, and we were willing to, do the survive on ramen noodles kind of thing, and travel everywhere and lose money sometimes doing gigs. We have a video that we actually just released a little while ago. I released it as a special thing. It was made in 2008 or something, of the worst night ever for Home Free, where we went to go do a school show and we made like $500 at it at most, for 5 people for all night and day. And on the way back, the trailer broke, the tire exploded. Oh. And then, first we couldn't even leave because the van wouldn't start because it was below zero and the van wouldn't start. So we'd have the van towed to a shop at midnight that was somehow open. And they heated it up so we get the van to start to eventually go home hours later. We drove down there. It's an hour and a half drive home. Halfway there, the tire explodes in the van. So we had to stop there. Tow truck comes to get the trailer. We're also thinking, we have to come back and get this trailer tomorrow. Like, what the hell? And the van's axle had locked up. The van would not drive. So it's 3 a.m. and we only made $500 on this gig. And
cost you $3,000, $5,000. Yeah.
And I eventually called my parents to drive up and get us. Because the trailer got taken to the wherever. And I'm sitting in Perkins at 4 a.m. and we're saying, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? this is a waste of money. We are losing money that we don't even have to lose. For what? For what? And that was the lowest point. We almost quit. And we stuck with it because
well,
we
then
kept
let me ask you
harder.
this: what made you stay?
Every year for me with the band, everything got just a little bit better than the year before. I always kind of said if I really felt it wasn't going anywhere, I would go back into the corporate world and actually make a career. Yeah. But it kept getting a little bit better.
I relate to that.
And obviously it paid off eventually.
Yeah.
But at that point, why did we stay? I think we kind of had enough stuff that was still coming up.
Yeah.
That was sort of, okay, well, let's finish this stuff out at least. And then, something else came up. Like, oh, okay. And then maybe, I can't remember the timeline exactly now. I have to go back and look. But either right before that or right after that, we got our first cruise ship gig. And that was 4 months to Alaska. And that was like, hey, we actually made some money and had a really cool experience doing this. And then the next thing got set up, those tours with Allied Concert Series. That happened. That was some real money. Like, wow. And then, then it finally took off. It's because we wanted to do it. And, okay, this is a long ending. I can just ramble forever. I tell people, if somebody comes to me as a 18-year-old kid or something in high school and says, I want to do music. I think I want to do music. What would I do to do that? And I said, if that's your question, you should not be doing music. Ooh. If you come to me and you say, I am going to do music, it's not an option in my life. I have to do this. I will do this for free if I have to, because I stay up till 4 a.m. every night playing guitar riffs because I love this so much. I cannot not do this. What can I do? That's the question. That's the kid I'm going to answer. Yeah. But the first kid, I'm going to say, man, don't do it. I mean, if you're kind of like, I could do that. No. Keep this as a hobby. Get better at it. That's great. Take classes, whatever, but keep it as a hobby for the rest of your life because you will always enjoy it and love it then, and you won't hate it.
Wow.
Because if you try to push through and you're not at that other kid's level, you're going to hate it.
I could not agree more. And it's like, man, my wife and I have been together. We been dating, now married, obviously, but dating 11 years. Like, so she's seen me from like high school to dropping out of college to trying to make no money in music to now, so like, but every time it's like, look, because it was scary for her, like she's like, well, you're making no money. Like, what are we going to do? And now it's all paid off and it now it worked. Right. But like, I always say, man, like she deserves way more credit than I did because I had the dream, she did not, and she stuck with me. So she deserves so much credit. But it's I told her, I was like, look, if we ever get to a point where I need to get another job for us, I will. But like, I can't just. I will be so unhappy if I quit. There's no plan B for me. I don't know what I do with my life. I would be so unhappy. And I was like, if I need to work at Starbucks because we can't pay the mortgage for some reason, like I'll do it. But like, and I'll be happy to support my family. But I'm like, there's no like, oh, let me get a corporate job because it'll make more. Like I have to. So I completely understand that. Completely.
Yeah. Did you see the Andrew Garfield TikTok boom?
Oh man, it's so funny you bring that up because so many people have been saying that. I haven't seen yet, and I've been breaking down some of the music on it, and the more and more I hear about it, it's like I'm like, oh, I have to watch this.
You're gonna feel so seen.
Okay, all right. Oh, I'm pumped, man. I'm so pumped.
The movie, it's okay. Like the movie itself is fine. It's not, it obviously I thought Rent was a better project for him than this one was. Mm-hmm. This is one before Rent, but it's just again as a creator, you feel seen. Listening to his struggle in New York and the failure of his projects, and he's like, like this one has to be the success. This one's it, or I can't do it, and it still fails, and he keeps going.
Yeah.
Anyway. When you watch it, you're gonna feel seen. You're gonna feel seen.
I can't wait, man. I'm so pumped.